Okay, let's just jump right in. Today we're doing a deep dive on the compiled theory of temporal displacement, TDT.
Right.
And the mission is to really get our heads around this idea that time isn't just, a straight line.
It's more like a flexible, layered fabric of cause and effect.
Exactly. So an action we take today, let's call it node A, doesn't just have a simple linear result. It can create these huge disproportionate consequences decades later.
And TDT really exists because we have this systemic problem. Our behavior is creating what you could call a socio-ecological gap.
We're basically taking out a loan against the future.
A loan that's accumulating some serious interest.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does TDT say is actually driving this cycle? I mean, it feels like it's just basic human nature.
It is. The main driver is a cognitive bias we all have. It's called hyperbolic discounting.
Ah, right.
It just means we are wired to value a reward right now much, much higher than some future cost, even if that cost is way bigger.
So if it feels good now, the 50-year price tag just doesn't seem real?
It feels abstract. It skews the entire decision.
And that leads straight to what the theory calls the systemic disconnect. That ratio is just, it's staggering.
It really is.
The classic example being a plastic bottle, right? You get maybe 20 minutes of utility from it.
And in exchange, you create a 500-year persistence cost. It's a massive imbalance.
Which just accelerates the problem.
And that accumulating debt is what TDT calls intergenerational asymmetry. We're essentially forcing future generations to pay for our convenience today.
So this is where it gets really fascinating. The goal of all this is temporal optimization. Finding the smallest possible action now for the biggest positive change later. But how do you trick a brain that's hardwired for hyperbolic discounting?
Well, the proposed solution is pretty radical. It's a cognitive displacement model based on the Wenshian approach.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means deploying what they call TDT-corrected stimuli. Think of them like personalized counter-memories.
So you're trying to make someone feel the future consequence right now.
Exactly. You collapse that multi-decade gap into an instant emotional experience.
To bring the feeling of that future cost down to the observable temporal threshold.
Which is incredibly fast, something like 30 milliseconds.
Wow. So it has to be a gut reaction, not a thought.
Precisely. But even if you could do that perfectly, TDT says there are absolute limits. We have to talk about fixed points.
These are the things that are already locked in.
Yes. High probability future consequences, like irreversible coral reef loss or a certain kind of economic collapse that are now, frankly, immune to any realistic mitigation we could do today.
So if we can't prevent those fixed points, the strategy has to pivot completely.
It does. It has to shift from prevention to adaptation, to building resilience against what we know is coming.
And that adaptation isn't a free-for-all, is it? There's a core rule.
The ultimate constraint. The ethical constraint, or AI epsilon.
And that says?
It says that any optimization we do must not create more suffering today than the future suffering it's trying to prevent.
Okay, so that's the guiding star.
It is, and it defines what's called the Novikov-compliant path. It's the intersection of that ethical rule, AI epsilon, with risk minimization, AI gamma, and resource allocation, which is AI delta.
And that brings us to the core dilemma, doesn't it? Because maximum preparation, AI delta, almost certainly requires steep short-term costs.
Yeah.
Rationing, hardship.
It does, which is where it all comes to a head. The Novikov self-consistency principle says the past is fixed. You can only influence the future.
So here's the thought to leave you with. How do you ethically justify imposing severe, immediate hardship now, which you need for AI delta, if that very hardship might violate the core ethical rule of AI epsilon?
That tension, that balance between suffering now versus preventing a greater suffering later, that's the razor's edge TDT forces us to walk.